My name is Elena Martinez, and at 48, I had spent 15 years pouring my heart into Crestview Retail's flagship store in Portland, Oregon. Starting as a cashier when my son Ethan was in middle school, I clawed my way up to senior logistics coordinator at Store 214, a bustling hub in the Pacific Northwest. Over the years, I trained over 50 employees, revamped our inventory system to cut losses by 20%, and helped our store rank among the top 3 in the region for a decade straight. My work was my pride, my team, my family. So when my phone pinged with a curt text from Greg Harper, our general manager of 18 months, reading, "Boardroom, 2 p.m., urgent," a knot tightened in my chest. The boardroom door was closed, a stark departure from Crestview's touted open door ethos. Inside, Greg stood by the window, arms crossed, his face a mask of detachment. Karen Thompson from HR sat at the table, a manila folder in front of her, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Elena, have a seat," Greg said, barely glancing my way. At 34, he was young for a general manager, brought in under Crestview's New Vision initiative to shake things up. I sat, hands clasped, bracing myself. "We've reassessed our staffing structure," Greg began, his voice flat. "Your position is redundant, and your salary doesn't align with your contributions. We're letting you go." I blinked, the words hitting like a slap. "I don't understand," I said. "My last review was outstanding. I designed the inventory system that's now company-wide." Greg's eyes flicked to Karen. "The decision's final. Your system access is revoked. Karen will handle the exit process." Karen slid the folder toward me, her expression unreadable. Inside were termination papers, citing organizational restructuring. The meeting lasted 5 minutes. 15 years. Countless early mornings, late nights, missed family dinners, and weekends spent fixing stockroom crises, reduced to a cold corporate dismissal. As I signed the forms, Greg's fingers drummed impatiently, and Karen avoided my gaze. Yet beneath the sting, a quiet certainty settled in me. I knew something Greg didn't, something that turned this moment from defeat to destiny. "Thank you for the opportunity," I said, my voice steady, a faint smile on my lips. Greg exhaled, clearly relieved I hadn't made a scene. He had no clue what Monday would bring. 3 weeks earlier, I'd received an email from Monica Chen, Crestview's VP of Regional Operations. "We need to discuss your future with Crestview," it read. I assumed it was about the logistics system I'd developed, which had slashed errors and was being rolled out across Oregon stores. But when I arrived at the sleek Seattle headquarters, I found Monica in a conference room with David Ruiz, the CFO. The air was charged with purpose. "Elena," Monica said, leaning forward, "your work at Store 214 is remarkable. Your inventory system has saved millions, and your store's retention rate is the best in the Northwest." David nodded. "You've turned Store 214 into a model of efficiency while keeping your team loyal in an industry where turnover is a plague. That's rare." I shifted, unaccustomed to such direct praise. To me, it was just doing the job, solving problems, supporting people, getting results. "We're restructuring our leadership," Monica continued. "We need a regional manager for the Northwest, 12 stores, including Portland. someone who understands operations and people. We want you. David slid a folder across the table. You'd oversee all general managers, including Greg Harper, with a salary nearly double your current one. I opened the folder, my hands trembling slightly. The job description outlined oversight of operations, staff development, and performance metrics across the region. The salary figure made my breath catch. Monica's eyes held mine. We've noticed Greg's approach, taking credit for others' work, pushing out veterans to cut costs. It's not gone unseen. David added, your leadership is the opposite. You build teams, not egos. The implication was clear. They'd seen Greg's tactics and my results. The contrast was stark. When do you need an answer? I asked. Take the weekend, Monica replied. But we'd like you to start soon. You'd be based in Seattle, with regular travel to all locations. That night, I called Ethan, now 23 and working in tech. Mom, take it, he said without hesitation. You've earned this. It's time they saw you. By Sunday, I'd accepted, requesting a 2-week transition to tie up loose ends at Store 214. Monica agreed, stressing confidentiality until the announcement. Back at Store 214, I played my part. I trained new hires, fixed scheduling conflicts, and even helped Greg prepare for his quarterly board presentation, ensuring his data was airtight. But I noticed his growing paranoia. He scrutinized my vendor emails, questioned my approvals with the accounts team, and hovered over my meetings. Lisa, a cashier I'd mentored, pulled me aside one day. Greg's digging for something to use against you, she whispered. He's been asking about your expense reports, overtime logs, anything. I wasn't surprised. Greg had already forced out 2 pillars of our team. Maria, a 19-year sales veteran, restructured out, and Tom, a 25-year inventory lead, nudged into early retirement via impossible performance targets. I was the last senior holdout. My salary, built through years of raises and promotions, a glaring line item in Greg's cost-cutting playbook. What he didn't know was that corporate wasn't watching me. They were watching him. On Wednesday, a courier delivered an embossed envelope, my official offer letter, a benefits package, and a handwritten note from Monica. Welcome to leadership, Elena. We're counting on you. Thursday morning, Greg reserved the boardroom for a personnel discussion at 2 p.m., the same time he texted me. As I cleared my desk post-termination, I felt not anger, but clarity. I handed my keys to Karen, who asked, "Anything for the record?" Her voice wavered, as if she sensed something off. "No," I said, smiling. "It'll all make sense soon." Friday morning, I savored coffee on my balcony, watching Portland's skyline glow under a rare sunny dawn. For the first time in 15 years, I wasn't rushing to open the store or untangle a delivery snafu. My phone buzzed with texts from colleagues. "This is BS," wrote Jamal from tech. "Greg's lost his mind firing you," texted Lisa. "We're all gutted." I thanked them, but kept my secret. At 1 p.m., Monica called. "The announcement's out. Store 214's in a frenzy." The company-wide email, titled Leadership Update, Elena Martinez appointed Regional Manager, Northwest, detailed my 15 years of service and new role overseeing 12 stores. Elena's proven expertise and people-first leadership will drive our region forward, it read. Texts poured in. "Greg's locked himself in his office," from Lisa. "He called corporate, insisting it's a mistake," from Jamal. I could imagine Greg's face. Shock morphing into dread. Ethan called, furious. "They fired you after all you've done? Unbelievable." I laughed. "It's fine, Ethan. I'm starting a new job Monday, with Crestview, just higher up." He pressed for details, but I promised to spill later. Monica called again. "Greg's rattled. He's preparing a store overview for your arrival. The other GMs are scheduling welcome meetings." I smiled. "I'm ready." Saturday, I drove to Seattle to settle into the corporate apartment, a modern loft with a view of Puget Sound. I spent the day shopping for a new wardrobe, tailored blazers, silk blouses, and heels, a stark contrast to my old khakis and polos. A stylist, Priya, helped me pick pieces. "Regional manager? You need authority with warmth," she said, handing me a forest green blazer. In the mirror, I barely recognized the poised executive staring back. For years, I'd worn practical ponytails and minimal makeup to survive 12-hour shifts. Now, I looked like I belonged in a boardroom. Sunday, I reviewed regional reports Monica sent. Store 214 was profitable, but slipping. Rising turnover, dipping customer scores, and creeping inventory losses, all tied to Greg's high-pressure, low-support style. That evening, Karen called, her voice tight. "Elena, I'm so sorry about Thursday. I had no idea about your promotion." I stayed neutral. Greg texted late. "Can we meet before Monday?" I replied, "All GMs have one-on-ones next week. You're scheduled Monday, 9 a.m. Bring performance data, staffing reports, and loss metrics." Professional. No hint of the vindication I felt. I wasn't here to gloat. I was here to lead. Monday morning, I dressed in the green blazer, a cream blouse and black trousers, my hair in a sleek bob. Traffic delayed my drive to Portland, but I arrived at store 214 at 8:50 a.m., parking in the visitor lot. Employees watched from the windows, some whispering, others waving. Jamal met me at the entrance. "Miss Martinez, you're a whole vibe," he said, grinning. "What's the mood inside?" I asked. Greg's been in the boardroom since 7, sweating bullets. Karen's stress-eating in the break room. The store felt familiar, yet distant. One of 12 under my watch now, not my sole domain. Employees paused as I passed, offering nods or subtle thumbs-ups. At the boardroom, I saw Greg through the glass, hunched over binders, checking his watch. I knocked once and entered. "Good morning, Greg," I said, my tone calm but commanding. He shot up, face paling as he took in my transformation. "Elena, Miss Martinez," he stammered. "Thank you for coming." "Regional Manager Martinez," I corrected, offering a firm handshake. "Let's begin." Greg's presentation leaned heavily on my initiatives, inventory systems, training protocols. Without crediting me, I let him finish, then opened my portfolio. "Nice overview," I said. "Now, let's discuss the unauthorized termination of a senior coordinator with 15 years' experience." Greg's confidence crumbled. "It was a budget decision," he mumbled. I slid a report across the table, highlighting a 25% turnover spike under his tenure. "Losing talent isn't cost-effective when it tanks morale and performance," I said, then pointed to a 12-point drop in customer satisfaction. "Explain this." He fumbled, eyes darting to the door. "Haven Mart values leaders who build, not break," I continued. "You have two options: resign with severance or commit to a performance plan under my supervision with weekly reviews." A irony hung heavy. He'd used similar ultimatums to oust others. He chose the plan, his voice barely audible. Over the next month, I traveled across the Northwest, but store 214 got my focus. Greg struggled under scrutiny, his authoritarian style clashing with my emphasis on transparency. I rehired Maria and Tom, restoring their expertise. I launched anonymous feedback channels, ensuring staff felt safe voicing concerns. Weekly meetings with Greg were blunt. "Your team fears you," I told him. "Leadership isn't control, it's trust, earned through support and honesty." By week 6, Greg resigned, citing a new opportunity. I felt no triumph, only resolve. I promoted Lisa to interim GM. Her empathy and competence were ideal for feeling the store's culture. 3 months in, all 12 stores showed gains, but 214's turnaround was stark. Turnover halved, customer scores soared, and losses plummeted. Sitting in my Seattle office, Puget Sound glimmering outside, I reflected. The real victory wasn't Greg's stunned face when I walked in as his boss. It was building a workplace where dedication was valued, talent nurtured, and leadership meant service, not power. That was a legacy worth fighting for.